Welcome to a tale of hidden secrets and lost love. If you're ready to unravel the mystery behind a forgotten coat and a life concealed in shadows, stay with us till the end. Don't forget to like this story and subscribe for more gripping tales like this. Claire's fingers lingered on the heavy brown wool coat hanging quietly in the dark corner of their bedroom closet. It was David's favorite, the one he had worn every winter for years, shielding himself against the cold with a tired but steadfast comfort. Now, with David gone for almost a year, the coat felt heavier than ever, as if it carried the weight of all the silent conversations they'd never had and all the secrets he never told. She had made a decision that morning, a difficult one, to finally part with some of his belongings. To let go of things that had become ghosts in their home. But as she reached for the coat, a strange hesitation stopped her. The fabric felt like a bridge back to a past she wasn't sure she wanted to revisit. Claire slipped her hand inside the coat's pocket to brush away a speck of dust, and froze. There was something tucked away deep inside, folded neatly yet worn by time. She pulled it out slowly. A small, crumpled piece of paper, its edges yellowed and soft from years of hiding. Her heart thudded wildly. On the paper was written a simple address, nothing else. No name, no explanation, just a street name and house number. Her mind raced. Why had David hidden this in the coat? She had lived with him for over a decade, and not once had he mentioned this place. Who did it belong to? What did it mean? Claire sat down on the edge of their bed, clutching the paper like a fragile clue to a mystery she hadn't known existed. Every corner of their life together suddenly felt like it might have had shadows she was blind to. Could there be a part of David's past he never shared with her? Was this address a key to that hidden world? Questions surged, and with them, a quiet ache. David's death had already torn a hole in her life, but now she wondered if she had truly known the man she loved. She stared at the coat, the paper, the empty room around her. The silence felt heavier than ever. The decision wasn't easy, but Claire knew what she had to do. She had to find out what that address meant, no matter what it uncovered. Because sometimes, in grief, the past isn't finished with us, and some secrets only reveal themselves when we're ready to face the truth. The next morning, she packed a small bag and prepared to visit the place written on the paper, a journey that would take her far from the life she knew and into the quiet heart of a secret David had carried alone. The address led Claire deep into the countryside, far from the bustling city she and David had called home. The roads became narrower and more winding, lined with trees that whispered in the cold wind. Hours later, she reached a small town that seemed to have been forgotten by time. She pulled up in front of an old, weathered house. Its brick walls were cracked and stained, the windows clouded with dirt, and vines crawled over the roof as if trying to reclaim the building. The garden was wild and overgrown, with dry leaves scattered across a broken stone path. Claire's heart ached at the sight. The house looked lonely, like a memory left to fade away. With a hesitant breath, she pushed open the creaking front door. The hinges groaned, protesting the intrusion into a place that had long held its secrets tight. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the smell of forgotten years. Faded wallpaper peeled from the walls, and the floorboards creaked beneath her feet. Shafts of weak sunlight filtered through grimy windows, casting long shadows that danced on the cracked walls. As she wandered from room to room, Claire felt the weight of silence pressing on her chest. This was a house that held its stories close, and she was the unwanted guest. On a rickety table in what once must have been the living room lay a collection of photographs, old and brittle. Claire picked one up with trembling hands. It showed a younger David, his face softer and more vulnerable, standing beside a woman Claire had never seen before. The way he looked at her was full of tenderness, a quiet smile touching his lips. Claire's breath caught. Who was she? And why had David never spoken of her? Moving deeper into the house, Claire found a small door that led to a child's bedroom. The room was modest and faded, with a tiny bed covered in a threadbare quilt. Toys, dusty and abandoned, lay scattered on the floor. On the wall was a drawing taped unevenly, a crayon picture of a man and a girl holding hands. Underneath, written in childish letters, was, "For Daddy." Tears welled in Claire's eyes. This house was not just a forgotten place, it was a sanctuary of memories and pain, a hidden chapter of David's life she had never known. She realized then that David had lived a double life in a way, one that he never shared, perhaps to protect them both from a hurt too deep to face. Claire's days in the old house turned into a painful discovery. Among the scattered papers and unopened drawers, she uncovered a series of letters, fragile and carefully folded, written in a familiar handwriting that made her heart ache. Each letter spoke of love, loss, and regrets. They were from David to a woman named Margaret, and addressed to a little girl named Eliza, David's daughter. The realization hit Claire like a storm. David had a daughter, a child she had never known, never been told about. Sitting at the dusty kitchen table, Claire unfolded another letter, her hands shaking. David's words were filled with sorrow and longing. He wrote about the joy of fatherhood and the pain of separation, about promises he couldn't keep and a life that had slipped through his fingers. Margaret and David had once loved fiercely, but circumstances had torn them apart. Eliza had been taken from them, a casualty of a broken world neither could control. Claire's heart ached with a mixture of grief and confusion. How could David have hidden this from her? Was it shame? Fear? Or a desperate attempt to shield her from a painful truth? Yet as she read more, she understood the weight he carried. This secret had been a silent wound he bore alone, a love that never faded but was kept locked away in shadows. In a photograph tucked between the letters, Claire saw Eliza's smiling face, innocent, bright-eyed, and forever frozen in time. That night, Claire sat alone, tears streaming down her cheeks. She had lost the man she loved, and now she mourned the daughter she never knew. In the quiet stillness of the child's room, Claire discovered a hidden floorboard slightly loose under the rug. Heart pounding, she pried it open to find a worn envelope sealed with wax. Inside was a letter addressed to her, written by David. Her hands trembled as she unfolded the fragile paper. David's words were raw, honest, and filled with the pain he had kept hidden all those years. He spoke of mistakes, of fears, and of love that was too complicated to explain. He apologized for the secrets and for not trusting her with the full truth. He confessed how difficult it was to carry the burden of a life that belonged partly to another family, how he had hoped to protect Claire from the heartbreak he felt every day. The letter revealed his deep regret for not being able to be the husband and father he wanted to be, for the daughter he never could hold again. Claire read the letter over and over, feeling the depth of his sorrow and love intertwine. It was a confession she had never expected, a final goodbye filled with unspoken words and shattered dreams. As tears blurred the ink, Claire finally understood that sometimes love is silent not because it isn't there, but because it is too fragile to speak aloud. The letter guided Claire to a small cemetery on the outskirts of town, a quiet resting place surrounded by tall oaks and soft moss. There, beneath a simple stone, lay the grave of Eliza Moore, David's daughter. Claire stood before the headstone, the coat wrapped around her shoulders like a shield against the cold and the past. She reached into the pocket and touched the crumpled paper that had started it all. Her breath caught as she whispered, "I wish you had told me. I wish you had told us both." Placing the coat gently over the grave, she knelt down, hands trembling. Tears streamed freely as she finally said the words she had held back for so long, "Goodbye." In that moment, Claire felt the weight of years lift slightly. The secrets were no longer shadows but part of the story she carried with her. She was not just a widow anymore. She was a mother, in her own way, to a daughter she had never met but would never forget. And as the wind rustled through the trees, Claire knew some goodbyes are not endings, but beginnings of peace. Thank you for joining this emotional journey of truth and heartbreak. If this story moved you, please like and share it with your friends. For more stories that touch the soul, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.